On our anniversary, my husband cheated on me. After working for 36 hours straight in the emergency department at Stanford Hospital, I dragged my weary body to Tiffany's to pick out a $5,000 Rolex for him. Meanwhile, Jack was at a company party, taking photos with his mistress, Brooke, wrapped in his arms. When I leveraged connections with a hospital board to secure a reservation at French Laundry, dressed in his favorite black tuxedo while waiting for him, he dismissively said over the phone, "What anniversary?" As I sat alone in the empty restaurant, watching their intimate photos flood my Instagram feed, I knew our 3-year marriage was utterly finished. I'm Emily Carter, 32 years old, an emergency medicine doctor, graduate of Stanford Medical School. Today marks the 3rd anniversary of my marriage to Jack. I thought it would be a perfect day, but it turned out to be a turning point in my life. At 10 in the morning, I had just completed 36 hours of continuous surgery, so exhausted that I could barely stand, yet I forced myself to go to Tiffany's and chose a $5,000 Rolex for Jack. It was the one he had always wanted. I wanted to surprise him just like he did when he proposed to me 3 years ago. In the afternoon, I had booked a table at the most expensive Michelin restaurant in the Bay Area, French Laundry. Dinner reservation at Laundry. The waiting list usually takes 6 months, but I called in a favor from a member of the hospital's board just for this special night. At 6, I began my preparations, slipping into that little black dress he adored, and applied a meticulous touch of makeup. Even I, who usually went barefaced, felt incredibly beautiful. I arrived at the restaurant at 7:30, where the waiter guided me to our reserved table by the window, offering a breathtaking view of Napa Valley's glittering night. I sent a message to Jack. "Darling, I'm here." 10 minutes passed with no reply. 20 minutes went by, and still nothing. Unease started to creep in. I dialed his number. It rang for an eternity before he picked up. "Emily, I'm in a meeting." His voice sounded impatient. "Today is our anniversary." I struggled to keep my tone steady. "What anniversary?" My heart plummeted to the pit of my stomach. "Jack. Today is June 15th. "Oh, I'm sorry, darling." His dismissive tone pierced my heart. "There's an urgent product launch at the company. I might be late getting back." In the background, a cacophony of noise filled the line. I heard a woman laughing. That effervescent giggle sent chills down my spine. "Who is that woman?" I asked bluntly. "What woman?" Jack's voice betrayed his tension. "I heard a woman laughing. That's my colleague, Brooke. She's our UI designer. We're discussing user interface issues." I knew Jack was lying. After 3 years of marriage, I knew him all too well. He spoke quickly when he was nervous, just as he was now. "All right," I forced myself to remain calm. "Then you carry on." After hanging up, I sat in the empty restaurant, staring at the vacant chair across from me. Tears dangled at the brink of spilling. Rain began pouring outside. Palo Alto's June rain arrived with no warning, just like my heart felt in that moment. I pulled out my phone, habitually opening Instagram, curious about what my friends were up to. But I stumbled upon a picture, posted by Jack's company's official account, captioned, "Live from the Uber HQ product launch." In the photo, Jack wore the Armani suit I had bought him. His side was pressed against a young blonde girl, her hand casually resting on his shoulder. They both looked incredibly happy, remarkably intimate. That kind of closeness churned my stomach. I zoomed in on the photo, scrutinizing it. The girl appeared to be 25 or 26, with delicate features, a perfect figure, dressed in an expensive designer ensemble. Wasn't this Brooke, the so-called UI designer? I continued scrolling through Instagram, finding more pictures of them together, holding champagne, cutting cake, posing with colleagues. In each shot, they stood too close. In some, Jack's arm even wrapped around her waist. I felt like I was suffocating. I called the waiter over. "Excuse me, I'd like to cancel my dinner." "Is there a problem, Dr. Carter?" The waiter recognized me. "Family emergency." I managed a strained smile. Back in the car, I sat dazed before the steering wheel. Rain hammered against the windshield, blurring the outside world, and washing away my own clarity. I wanted to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. Maybe it was from spending so many years in the emergency room, witnessing countless farewells, that had taught me to maintain composure in crises. The hospital rang, asking me to return for an emergency shift. A serious car accident had occurred. I ended the call and turned a car back toward the hospital. The emergency department at Stanford is always bustling at night. Car accidents, heart attacks, all kinds of urgent cases. I thrived on this rhythm. It made me feel I had value and purpose. At 10, I had just finished attending to a case of a drunken brawl when Nurse Jenny approached me. Dr. Carter, there's a patient at bed 3 that needs your attention. What's the situation? I asked while washing my hands. 26-year-old female. Claims she was injured at the gym, but her injuries look a bit strange. I headed towards bed 3. Before I could see the patient, I heard a familiar voice. Dear, do you think I need an x-ray? My wrist really hurts. That was Jack's voice. My heart raced. Pulling back the curtain unveiled an unforgettable scene. Jack sat by the bedside, tenderly holding a blonde girl's hand. The same Brooke from the Instagram post last night. She wore a pink workout outfit, her face adorned with flawless makeup. She looked nothing like someone who had just hurt herself at the gym. Emily, Jack froze upon seeing me. What are you doing here? I work here. I maintained an air of professionalism. Had you forgotten? Brooke looked up at me with an expression I could not quite define. Was it disdain or triumph? You must be Jack's wife, she chirped sweetly. I've heard him mention you often. Really? I replied coldly. What exactly did he say? He said you worked a lot, that you often had to put in extra hours, and had little time for him. Those words sounded almost accusatory, yet she delivered them so skillfully, on the surface sounding caring, but underneath, they were clearly antagonistic. I began assessing her wrist. You said you were hurt at the gym. How did it happen specifically? I twisted it accidentally while doing yoga. Brooke's eyes darted about as she lied.
What gym?
I probed further.
Equinox, she replied.
One of the most expensive gyms in Silicon Valley, with a monthly fee of $500. Not an expense an average UI designer could manage. Your wrist shows no obvious signs of trauma. I continued my examination. And there's no swelling. Where exactly does it hurt? Brooke fumbled over her words. In my mind, I was already she was definitely pretending to be sick. But why pretend? Why did she need Jack to accompany her to the hospital? I think we might need an x-ray, Jack chimed in, just to make sure there's no fracture. I don't think that's necessary, I firmly retorted. In my professional judgment, it's just a mild muscle strain. A few days of rest should do the trick. Brooke looked a bit disappointed. Jack also seemed unamused. Then let's get her some painkillers, Jack suggested. She's in pain. I prescribed the cheapest over-the-counter pain medication. As Brooke took the bottle, I noticed a diamond ring on her finger. It wasn't an ordinary ring. It was at least 2 carats, worth tens of thousands of dollars. How could a 26-year-old UI designer afford such a ring? This ring is beautiful, I said deliberately. Thank you. Brooke instinctively shielded it. It was a gift from my boyfriend. Your boyfriend must be quite wealthy. I glanced at Jack. His expression darkened. After finishing the paperwork, they prepared to leave. I followed them to the parking lot. Jack, we need to talk. Not now, he replied without looking at me. Brooke needs to go home and rest. Is she more important than me? I finally couldn't hold back. Emily, what are you talking about? Jack feigned ignorance. I'm talking about your relationship. We're just colleagues. Do colleagues go to the emergency room in the middle of the night? Do colleagues buy tens of thousands of dollars worth of diamond rings? Jack's expression darkened further. What nonsense are you spouting? That ring was bought by her boyfriend. What boyfriend? I snorted coldly. Yours? Brooke was sitting in the car, and through the window, I could see her eavesdropping on our conversation. Emily, you're crazy, Jack said, beginning to lose his temper. I'm here taking care of a sick colleague, and you're here making a scene.
Sick?
I nearly laughed. She's not even injured. Any first-year medical student could see that.
What gives you the right to say that?
Because I'm a doctor. I enunciated each word carefully. And I'm also your wife. Jack fell silent for a few seconds before opening the car door. I don't have time to argue about these trivial matters. He got into that Tesla Model. I remember it was a gift from his parents when we got married. Now it's being used to carry another woman. Jack, I tapped on the car window. We haven't finished talking. He rolled down the window. Talk about what? Do you know what kind of difficult background Brooke has? I probed. She grew up in a single-parent family. Jack instinctively defended her. And she has huge student loans. So you feel obligated to help her? Including buying expensive diamond rings. That wasn't me who bought it, Jack vehemently denied, but his eyes darted away. I knew he was lying. What about the Equinox gym membership? I continued to press. How do you know? Jack blurted out, then realized he'd slipped. I don't know anything, he hurried to remedy. I just care about my colleagues. I stared at him quietly. This man I had loved for 5 years and been married to for 3 was now telling me one lie after another. All right, Jack, I stepped back. Since you don't know anything, then there's nothing left to say. I turned to walk towards the hospital. The sound of the engine starting came from behind me. They were leaving me standing alone in the empty parking lot. The rain began to fall again. By the time I got home, it was 3 in the morning. Jack still wasn't back. I sat in the living room, looking at our wedding photo. How much we had loved each other 3 years ago, and now everything had changed. I needed to know the truth, needed to find out what extent their relationship had reached. I walked into Jack's study. His MacBook was still on the desk. I knew his password. It was the date of our first date. What an irony. Now this password would be used to uncover his betrayal. I powered up the computer. Taking a deep breath, I began my investigation. First, I checked his browser history. Sure enough, there were numerous searches about jewelry. Tiffany, Cartier, Van Cleef Arpels, top-tier jewelry brands. There were also many women's clothing sites, Sephora Cosmetics, and Louis Vuitton handbags. None of these were for me, because he never bought me such things. Next, I looked at his emails. His Gmail was filled with numerous shopping confirmation emails. One was for a Tiffany diamond ring, priced at $28,000, exactly the one Brooke was wearing. Another was for a Louis Vuitton order, the latest handbag, priced at $5,000. The Venmo transfer records were even more shocking. Every month, there were large transfers to Brooke, $1,000, $2,000, sometimes even $3,000. The notes read various reasons: living expenses, student loans, emergency expenses. I calculated it and realized he had sent her over $15,000 in the past 6 months. That was higher than our household's monthly income. My hands trembled as I continued searching on the Apple payment records. I uncovered more heartbreaking evidence. The purchases of Sephora Cosmetics, each time totaling in the hundreds of dollars. Membership fees for high-end gyms, expenses for personal trainers, and even costs for cosmetic surgeries. I opened the website of that cosmetic surgeon and discovered it was one of the most expensive clinics in San Francisco, specializing in facial fillers and breast augmentations, charging upwards of 6 figures. To make matters worse, I found out that Jack had been using our joint credit card, which meant I was also footing the bill for his mistress. I could hardly contain my rage, but the shocking revelations didn't stop there. When I accessed his iCloud photo stream, I was met with dozens of pictures of them together. Intimate group shots, vacations on the beach, dining at upscale restaurants, and lounging on a private yacht. The dates on these photos showed their relationship had lasted at least a year, and I had been completely unaware. Several photos particularly infuriated me. They were taken at a luxurious winery in Napa Valley, a place I had always wanted to visit but had been told was too expensive by Jack. Yet he had taken Brooke there, not just once. Airbnb booking records revealed they were frequent visitors, spending weekends there every month, with expenses deducted from our joint account. I checked my phone's Find My iPhone feature, only to discover Jack's location records. He had frequently been at Brooke's apartment over the past year, sometimes staying overnight while I believed he was working late or on business trips. All his lies had been exposed by the cold, hard facts. I continued to dig deeper and stumbled upon their chat history, the nauseating exchanges enough to make me want to vomit. Baby, I love you. I can't live without you. I'll divorce her as soon as possible. We'll be together soon. The last message shattered my composure. Emily's just a workaholic. She doesn't love me at all. Our marriage has long been a mere formality. I sat in my chair, feeling as if the world was spinning out of control. 3 years of marriage, reduced to this in his eyes. I had given everything for this family, 36-hour work weeks, all to provide a better life. And now I was being labeled as someone who didn't love him. I wiped away my tears and began systematically gathering evidence, taking screenshots of every transaction record, every photo, every message. I was determined to let everyone know what kind of man Jack Carter truly was. I needed more evidence. I opened LinkedIn and searched for Brooke Wilson. I found her profile intriguing, claiming to have graduated from Stanford, yet her educational credentials didn't check out. Her work experience was exaggerated as well. She claimed to have worked at several renowned companies, but the timelines didn't align. This woman not only stole my husband, but also lied on her resume. As I continued my investigation, I observed her lifestyle on Instagram, which bore no resemblance to that of someone burdened by student loans, frequenting high-end restaurants, donning designer outfits, and cruising around in a BMW sports car. Where was this money coming from? The answer was painfully clear. It was all supplied by Jack, using our family finances. At 5 in the morning, I completed my preliminary investigation. The evidence was indisputable. Not only had Jack cheated, but he also misappropriated our joint assets to fund his mistress's lavish lifestyle, a grievous marital betrayal under California law, which could entitle me to a hefty portion of our property in a divorce. I was ready to make them pay a heavy price. I wanted everyone to know the truth. I planned for the perfect revenge. Once I had gathered enough evidence, I started formulating my strategy for revenge. A simple divorce was too lenient for them. I required a more creative approach to ensure they would truly suffer. The next afternoon, I searched for Brooke's boyfriend on LinkedIn. The man she claimed had bought her a diamond ring. It didn't take long to locate Ryan Harris, a 30-year-old vice president at Goldman Sachs, earning over $500,000 a year. From his profile, he appeared to be a very successful person, an MBA from Stanford Business School, with 8 years of experience working on Wall Street, conveniently based at the San Francisco branch. I sent him a LinkedIn message. Mr. Harris, I am Dr. Emily Carter. We need to talk about Brooke Wilson. This is important for both of us. 2 hours later, he replied. Dr. Carter, I'm not sure what you're trying to convey, but if it's about Brooke, I'd be happy to meet and discuss. We arranged to meet at an upscale cafe in San Francisco's financial district, Blue Bottled at Coffee's flagship store. It's a popular spot where finance professionals often meet for business discussions. The environment is quiet and private. On Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock, I arrived punctually. Ryan was already waiting for me. He looked exactly like a successful investment banker, perfect suit, expensive watch, and an air of confidence about him. Dr. Carter. He stood up to shake my hand. Great to meet you. Thank you for agreeing to meet, I said as I sat down. I think this is important for both of us. You mentioned Brooke on LinkedIn. Ryan dove straight into the topic. What's going on? I took a deep breath. She's having an affair with my husband, Jack Carter. Ryan's expression froze instantly.
What?
I have proof. I pulled out the evidence I had prepared, photos, transaction records, chat screenshots. It's been going on for over a year. Ryan took the documents, examining each page carefully. I could see his face growing darker. This can't be true, he finally said. Brooke told me she was planning a surprise engagement for us, that she's been busy lately hanging out with her female friends. Surprise engagement, I said with a bitter smile. She's indeed planning a surprise, just not for you. I pointed to one of the photos. This was taken last weekend in Napa Valley. What were you doing that day? Ryan pondered for a moment. I was working late. She said she was going to a gathering with her Stanford classmates. Stanford classmates? I shook my head. She didn't even attend Stanford. I checked her credentials. Most of it is forged. Ryan looked completely crushed by this news. He buried his head in his hands. I can't believe I was such a fool. She often needed money, he continued. Said it was for student loans and family troubles. I gave her a lot. How much? I asked, curious. About 200,000, he said, pained. Over the past year. I did the math. Adding in the 150,000 Jack had given her, Brooke was raking in 350,000 a year, more than many doctors, without lifting a finger, just by deceiving 2 men. She's quite the actress, I said, making us both believe we're the only ones. Now I want revenge, Ryan said, raising his head, anger kindling in his eyes. So do I replied. Let's team up, I suggested. I'm a doctor, you're an investment banker. We both have resources and brains. We can design a perfect revenge plan. Ryan considered it for a moment. How do you want to do it? First, I need your help to investigate a few things, I said. Jack may be embezzling company funds to buy luxuries for Brooke. This requires professional financial analysis. And then we expose them in public. My eyes glinted with vengeful light. Let everyone know the truth. But it shouldn't just be plain exposure. They must pay a real price. Ryan nodded. I understand. As an investment banker, I know how to trace funds. If Jack is indeed embezzling, that's a criminal offense, not just a marital issue. We started to devise a detailed plan. Ryan was in charge of the financial investigation, while I focused on gathering more evidence. Our goal was to publicly expose everything during Jack's company's annual party. When is the party? Ryan asked. On the 15th of next month, I replied. Exactly a month after our wedding anniversary. What a perfect timing. In the following days, Ryan used his professional skills to dig deeper into Jack's financial sources and uncovered more shocking truths. Jack had not only misused marital assets, but also used company credit cards to pay for various expenses for Brooke. This was a serious violation in any company and could lead to criminal prosecution.
We did it, Ryan called to tell me.
Jack is indeed embezzling company funds, over $100,000. That's enough to land him in prison. A wave of pleasure washed over me. I had finally found the perfect weapon for my revenge, not through angry fights or endless entanglements, but by letting the law and the facts speak for themselves. The annual product launch event for Jack's company was a significant occasion in Silicon Valley, attended by investors, media, and partners. This year's theme was Innovation Changes the Future. What irony! I was going to change Jack's future using this very platform. As a well-known doctor, it was easy for me to get an invitation. I told the organizers I was interested in investing in medical technology projects, and they quickly invited me as a special guest. Ryan's involvement was even more straightforward. As a vice president at Goldman Sachs, he was already on the guest list. Our plan was as follows. During Jack's product demonstration, I would play an evidence video on their large screen, so everyone could see the truth, while Ryan would report Jack's embezzlement to the company, ensuring he'd be caught on the spot. On the day of the launch, I meticulously got ready, donning a designer suit worth $3,000 and a professional yet refined makeup. I wanted everyone to see me as a successful woman, not a pitiful victim. The venue was set in the most luxurious hotel in San Francisco, where over 200 guests gathered, elites from the tech industry. I saw Jack on stage, wearing the Armani suit I had bought for him, adjusting the presentation equipment. Brooke sat in the front row in a low-cut evening gown, trying to attract everyone's attention, unaware of what was about to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack began his speech. Welcome to our annual press conference. Today, I am here to showcase our latest revolutionary product, Jack continued. I sat quietly in the back row, waiting for the right moment. Ryan was on the other side, fully prepared with all his documents. This product will change, Jack went on, the way people live. At that moment, I stood up. Excuse me for interrupting, I said. Everyone turned to face me, including Jack. When he saw me, his face turned ashen. I am Dr. Emily Carter, I introduced myself. Mr. Jack Carter's wife. A murmur swept through the crowd. I think it's important for everyone to know the truth. Before we discuss this revolutionary product, I took out the remote, pointing it at the large screen. These are the true events of Mr. Jack's past year. The video I compiled began to play on screen. Intimate photos of Jack and Brooke, screenshots of bank transfers, and the content of their chats. Gasps filled the room. These photos show. I continued. Mr. Jack has been maintaining an improper relationship with company employee Brooke Wilson for over a year. Brooke tried to leave but was stopped by security. More importantly, I raised my voice. He used company funds to purchase luxury items for this lady, totaling over $100,000. Ryan stood up at that moment as well. I am Ryan Harris from Goldman Sachs. I can corroborate these allegations. I have the complete financial analysis report. The CEO's face turned pale. He quickly strode to the front of the stage, snatching the microphone from Jack. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO began. We were unaware of this situation. If the allegations are true, the company will take this matter seriously. Jack attempted to defend himself. This is slander, he exclaimed. She is retaliating against me because I intend to divorce her.
Divorce?
I scoffed. When did you ever tell me you were getting a divorce? You only mentioned discussing our relationship. Reporters in the audience began snapping pictures. Cameras pointed at us. This was going to be one of Silicon Valley's biggest scandals. And there's more. I continued with my revelations. Ms. Brooke Wilson falsified her educational background on her resume, claiming to have graduated from Stanford. In reality, she never even attended. At the same time, she deceived multiple men to obtain their money. Brooke finally broke down. This is not true, she screamed. I love Jack. We are truly in love. Truly in love. Ryan stepped forward. Then why did you agree to marry me? Why did you take my money? The scene descended into chaos. Security began to restore order. Journalists eagerly documented everything. This would be tomorrow's headline news. The CEO announced a halt to the press conference. And right there, he fired Jack. "Mr. Carter," the CEO said, "you are terminated. The company will investigate the misappropriation of funds. If confirmed, it will be handed over to the Judicial Department." Jack collapsed to the floor, his career over, his reputation utterly ruined. Brooke was taken away by the police, suspected of fraud and identity theft. Her H-1B visa would be revoked, facing deportation. I stood on the stage, watching it all unfold, a sense of indescribable pleasure swelling within me. This was the price of betrayal. But the revenge was not yet complete. The best was yet to come. The conference video quickly spread online, becoming a hot topic on Reddit and Twitter. The vengeful doctor of Silicon Valley, becoming a trending topic. Millions watched my revenge video, and the comment section exploded. Most people supported me, believing I was right, but there were also some voices criticizing me, claiming my approach was too extreme. With that came cyberbullying. My personal information was leaked. My home address and phone number were made public. I received a barrage of threatening messages every day. Supporters and opponents emerged, and this is the price of becoming an internet celebrity. Yet, I didn't regret my actions. What worried me more was the impact on my career. The board of directors at Stanford Hospital convened an emergency meeting to discuss whether my actions violated professional conduct. "Dr. Carter," said the chairman, "your actions have attracted widespread attention. Some have questioned your professional ethics," he continued, believing that a doctor should not partake in such public humiliation. "I was merely defending my rights. I defended myself. As a betrayed woman, I have the right to seek justice." "But you are a doctor," another board member interjected. "You represent not just yourself, but the image of the entire medical field. Such retaliation is not in line with the spirit of medical professionalism." The hearing lasted 3 hours, and ultimately, the board decided to suspend my medical license for 6 months, requiring me to undergo ethical remediation. This meant I couldn't practice medicine temporarily and wouldn't earn a doctor's income. It was a consequence I hadn't anticipated. The cost of revenge was higher than I had imagined. That night, I sat alone in my home, feeling an unprecedented sense of loneliness. Jack had moved out. The house was empty, just me inside. I began to question my choices. Was it worth it to pay such a high price for revenge? Just as I was lost in my thoughts, Ryan called. "Emily, are you okay?" he asked. "I saw the news, not about your license suspension." "I'm fine," I replied, striving to sound strong. "This is only temporary. I'll be back in 6 months." "I want to help you," Ryan said. "My legal team is exceptional. We can help you face these challenges."
Why help me? I asked.
"You've already got your revenge. Brooke has been deported. Because there's still justice to be sought." Ryan's voice was warm. "You shouldn't be punished for standing up for your rights. Moreover," he paused, "I think you're an incredible woman." In the following months, Ryan truly helped me a great deal. His legal team assisted me in dealing with online attacks and navigating various legal issues. Through this process, we forged a deep friendship that blossomed into love. Jack's downfall was worse than I had imagined. The company not only fired him but also filed a lawsuit against him for misusing funds. He faced criminal charges that could lead to years in prison. Finding a job became difficult, as the scandal had spread throughout Silicon Valley and no company was willing to hire him. Brooke was deported back to Eastern Europe. After her true identity was exposed, it turned out she had deceived men in multiple countries using similar methods and was now facing international charges. The divorce proceedings went smoothly. Due to Jack's betrayal and misuse of funds, I gained most of our marital assets, including the house, investment accounts, and retirement funds, valued at over $2 million. 6 months later, my medical license was reinstated. The hospital board admitted their punishment was too severe, and I returned to work in the emergency department. However, I had new plans. With the assets I obtained and with Ryan by my side, we founded a medical technology company focused on developing smart diagnostic systems for the emergency department. Combining my medical expertise with Ryan's business acumen, the company flourished, winning millions in investments within a year, and we officially began dating. Ryan was a gentle and considerate man, entirely different from Jack. He respected my career and supported my dreams, never letting me feel the pain of betrayal again. 2 years later, we were preparing to get married, while Jack had just been released from prison. I heard he was now working as a regular programmer at a small company, earning only a fraction of what he used to. Sometimes, I wonder how things would have been if I had chosen forgiveness and tried to save our marriage. But I never regret my decision. That perfect revenge not only brought me justice but also led me to find true love and a brand new life. Some say revenge is a cold dish that is best served cold, and I believe that's true. Calm revenge is the most effective, not in angry roars or hysterical arguments, but through wisdom and evidence, making the betrayer pay the price they deserve. Now, when I see women who have been betrayed, I always tell them, don't cry, don't despair. Use your mind, not tears, to uphold your dignity, because the best revenge is to live better. And I truly did. My story serves as a reminder to all: betrayal has its price, and justice, while it may be late, will never be absent. It seems like you've entered a character or a symbol instead of the text you'd like translated.